Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm your host, King David, and we are on Africonomy, okay, a network where we talk about building African economy, a network where we talk about Black businesses, where we talk about entrepreneurship, where we're talking about um, building up our beautiful Black people in the way and the nature that they should be built. And this is the seventh episode of the For Real Show. Um, We're going to be discussing a wide range of topics: Pan Africanism, vaccines, the new Justice League movies. We're going to have a few things we're going to be talking about today. But before that, P, go ahead and say what's up to the people. Introduce yourself. Let them know how your week was, all that.
Hey, what's up? This is just Reggie here. You know, it's a long week,
We're going to have to work on your
but
introductions,
it's
P.
Friday.
We really going to have to do something about these introductions. Like, I feel like it gets worse and worse every week. like, 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 I don't think it's supposed to get worse as time goes by.
Hey,
I really don't
hey,
understand
hey,
this.
listen, it can only get better after it get worse, or
Man,
something like that.
what the hell?
Look, it don't
what, what,
matter if look, it doesn't matter if it don't make sense.
huh?
Nothing. Never mind. This is good.
Oh my God. What the hell have I got myself into? How was your week, P? Let's start with that. How was your week? We were out last week. So really we gotta ask about 2 weeks. How was your week last week and how was your week this week?
Well, I couldn't uh, participate last week because I had to pressure wash the roof and the driveway and the sidewalk and stuff like that because I live in an association and when you have HOA, they send violation letters every so often, and they send a letter, then you gotta fix whatever violation they say you've have,
I hear you. I hear you. Okay. That makes
and
sense.
I'm cheap enough to where I call a company to do the pressure washing, and they tell me the price, and I'd be like, I can do it myself.
Oh man.
I do it myself.
so
I have the equipment, so I mean,
so what you're trying to tell me is we missed out on an amazing show last week because you had to pressure wash your roof. Is what you're trying to tell me?
yeah,
Wow. Wow.
and the driveway, and the sidewalks,
All right.
and
All right. Forget about last week. How was
the
this
area
week?
going to the storm drain.
this week. Tell me about this week, P. How was this week?
It was, it's long. This is very long, man. Like,
How was work, man? You do anything interesting at work? How'd everything going?
uh, well, I mean, at work, you know, I I learned a lot about, automation and things like that. So a lot of the tasks that I'm assigned to do, I automated a lot of tasks. So, and I didn't tell nobody. So a lot of times I'm really free and I'm just looking busy, but I'm not really busy.
That's the name of the game, though. That's definitely a lesson in that, man. Just automating certain tasks. That way you don't necessarily have to do, the mundane activities that you would have normally had to do. Um, if if you didn't have to do them, or the things that you would have to do, but you automate them so you don't necessarily have to worry about doing them consistently like this. So that's really what the name of the game is, man. Just automating those tasks. And but other than that, man, it sounds like you had a pretty down week. If you had everything automated, then that means that everything was probably for the most part done and everything like that. So that seemed to be the
Yeah,
case.
yeah. As far as tasks and stuff, things were pretty much done, but I still had to deal with people calling with complaints and things like that. Regular things. People complain about stuff,
Yes,
having to
they
deal with
do.
those issues. Other than that, I mean, that's just work.
People
That's just
constantly complain about stuff.
that's more incentive. That's more incentive for me to start my own stuff. You know what I'm saying? Where I don't have to
Absolutely.
be at a 9 to 5 every day.
And that's what the name of the game is. And the people need to hear that times 20. Because ain't nothing wrong with having a job, but in the back of your mind, you should be thinking about, well, what can I do? What can I take from this situation in order to build my own? You know what I mean? That's really what should be on anyone's mind as they're working on any job. It's not a bad thing to have a job, but while you have that job, what are you looking to do? What are your goals beyond that job? You know what I'm saying? Is this an industry that you want to get into for yourself? You know what I'm saying? Because we need these black owned businesses to pop off. Is this something, or even if it's not an industry you're looking to get into, what skills can I take from this particular industry and incorporate it into my own? So that's really what we're talking about here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But nothing, nothing magical happened this week or anything like that, P. Like nothing out of the ordinary.
Nah, nah, it's regular.
All
What
right,
about
well,
you, man? What's going on, man? What happened to you?
man, I just had it was a pretty dry week. It was just a week of me just trying to figure things out. It was another preparational kind of week. You know what I'm saying? Me trying to figure things out, me trying to, you know, figure out, like, it was a really strategic kind of week. You know what I'm saying? Just figuring out different ways to do things and stuff like that. Nothing spectacular happened. I went to the gym a few times, got a good workout, hooped out a little bit. When the last time y'all done hooped out a little bit? You done went to the basketball gym and played some basketball, you know what I mean, and get your fitness and energy levels up. Last time you played some basketball, P?
That was like pre-pandemic, man.
Man, that's sad, bro.
So
That's
I haven't
the
played basketball in an entire year,
And that's the worst
whole
thing
year.
about this whole pandemic situation is, man, is people really aren't getting the exercise that they need. They cooped up in the house, they're not working out, they're not eating like they supposed to be eating, because they probably or even if they are eating like what they supposed to be eating, if you eating what you're supposed to be eating without no exercise, it's like, okay, it's only natural you're gonna gain weight. It's only natural you know, you're gonna be less healthy. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's important to continue to do the things that the positive things that you did before all this shit happened.
Yeah.
Now that it's
Well,
happened.
I'm still at a healthy weight, so I'm not fat,
Mhm. Well, that's good.
but I'm not in basketball shape though. I know that much, but
Well, what kind of basketball are we talking about? I feel like that's a good topic of conversation, because basketball shape is very different than shape. We just need people to be in shape. You know what I'm saying?
well, basket for me when I say basketball shape, when I play basketball, you need to play offense and defense. You need to have the energy for both. You know, I like to run around the court. You know, you got to be in decent shape for that.
Absolutely.
You don't really need to be in shape if you're trying to be like what's his name, James Harden or something. Just stay by the 3 point line, dribble a little, step back, shoot a three. But if you're playing defense, you driving to the hoop, you trying to lose your defender, things like that. You crouching real low to defend. You have to be in decent shape.
100%. Okay. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and dive into our first topic of discussion. And this one's going to be a pretty deep one, P, man. One of the founding principles of why we decided to do this channel, and that is Pan-Africanism. So before we talk about Pan-Africanism, P, would you mind describing what Pan-Africanism is, what it means to you, and what it means in general?
Uh, I mean, well, Pan Africanism, is based on the belief that unity is vital to economic, social, and political progress. And it aims to uplift and unify people of African descent. For me, I feel like that's a core belief. That's something that's ingrained in me. Like everything that I think from a Pan African perspective. African
Very.
people,
Hey,
no matter where you are, we need to
that
work together.
that definition was like dope as fuck, man. That was a dope ass definition of Pan Africanism. Sounds like you read that from online somewhere. Did you read that online? That was a great definition.
Maybe in the past I might have.
In the
Maybe in the
past.
past. Maybe in the past.
I really like that definition. I'm sorry, I cut you off though. Continue to say what you were saying.
No, I said it. It's basically black people, no matter where you are, Europe, Africa, America, South America, wherever you are, there's a common connection. We all have common interests, and we should all be unified.
Absolutely. I everything that he just said, I second and third and fourth that Pan Africanism needs to be the ideology that us as Black people need to incorporate worldwide. Unfortunately, with Pan Africanism, there are people for whatever reason, because I don't get why you wouldn't share these ideals. For whatever reason, don't identify with these ideals, you know what I'm saying, of just African empowerment, Black people globally united in order to reach each economic uh goals, spiritual goals, political goals, things like that. um we've heard it since we were kids, man. United we stand, divided we fall, man. And the the saga continues, the tribalism continues, you know what I'm saying, to fester, you know what I mean, in society today, man. um P, talk a little bit about how you got into Pan-Africanism, how you discovered it, and what you did once you discovered it, like what that transitional phase you had.
Well, the belief of Pan Africanism, I think it's always something that I believed in before I actually knew what the term was. I mean, for the most part, growing up, I've always been around black people. You know, my family, my parents, they bought things from black businesses and things like that. I didn't actually know what the term, what Pan Africanism was until like I started. Uh, I guess you would say like in high school when they're giving history, they give you they give you a project, a history project, and you have to do like a research paper or something. And I'm looking up history, and then I stumble across something like Marcus Garvey, and I look him up, and I'm like, whoa. I listen to some of his speeches, and they're like powerful, like you listen to them, and they you feel them, like you feel I could feel my hair on my arms like just get stiff hearing him talk, and it resonated with me. And also what the things that Malcolm X was talking about as well. And as I get older, I make a conscious effort to like whatever I purchase, I try to think, can I buy it from a black person? Can I buy it from a black business? From everything, even from like food, you know, like for me, I feel like there's a certain amount of money like I'll spend. If I spend anything, let's just say if I'm gonna spend like $9 for a plate of food, I'm like, if I'm gonna pay $9, I might as well just go to a black restaurant and go spend the $9 instead of going to like, I'm not, well, I don't want to say any company names, but
Absolutely. How do you feel like Black people can use Pan Africanism in order to better their situation specifically?
you mean like individually or you mean like as a group?
Well, you can touch on both if you like.
I mean, individually, understanding what Pan Africanism is, I think once you understand it, it'll make you a better person. It will cause you to think more critically and approach situations differently. As a group, I think that it's essential that to not understand and practice Pan Africanism is basically suicide because every other group has their version of Pan Africanism. They may call it something different, but they all practice, some form of group economics. Everybody does it except for Black people. And that's why ultimately, as a group, we're in the situation that we're in, where we don't really own a majority or a dominant share of any type of resource or industry. And that, millions of Black kids, they go to school, they go to college, they accumulate all this debt just to, finish college and go look for a job from somebody from a different group that don't really understand where they're coming from, and then they discriminate against them, you know? Understanding what Pan-Africanism is, creating industries for your own, putting your people first. It's not saying that you hate anybody, because it doesn't teach hate. It's not hate. It's about self-love.
And that's what a lot of people don't get when it comes to Pan Africanism. It has nothing to do with hate. It's all about love, love, that self identification. You're identifying with a group of people on this planet, you know what I'm saying, who share your struggles, you know what I'm saying, who share your values, who share your ideals, is what Pan Africanism is. Um, you know, my experience with Pan African, I actually got into Pan Africanism, I want to say maybe like 5 years ago or so, and it really changed my world. Because yes, you know, there are people, on this earth who don't identify themselves as African, as Black people. There are people on this earth that don't, but there's a lot of people on the earth that do. And those are the people that we want to unite with. Those are the people who 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 mean the people who we want to connect with. You know what I'm saying? Um, I just think in general, it's just really important for us as Black people to just be on the same page when it comes to identifying ourselves, our struggles, our mission, you know what I'm saying, which is Black empowerment, economically, spiritually, um, financially, in every aspect there is, you know what I'm saying? So one discovering Pan-Africanism was really like it was really a big change um, in my life. You know what I'm saying? It was huge. You know what I'm saying? And it made me a better man. You know what I'm saying? I can't understand how um, you got Black folks out there who feel like, because we know about the tribalism stuff, right, P? We know that there's different
Yeah.
groups out there who feel like, maybe they're this, and they deserve this type of attention or that type of attention. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, there's no one group of people that's better than any other group of Black people. You know what I'm saying? We're all looked at as the same. We're all talked to the same. You know what I'm saying? We're all allowed either the same opportunities or not allowed those opportunities. And it's like, everything that one group does affects all the other groups. You know what I'm saying? If we travel, if you travel to Europe as a Black person, okay, they wouldn't care. They wouldn't know whether you're from the just based on looking at you. They wouldn't know whether you're from Africa, whether you're from the United States, South Africa, or any other place in the continent. They're gonna treat you exactly the same way. So it's like, I just feel like as a Black person, that should be first and foremost in your mind. You know what I'm saying? I'm people identify me as a Black person first before any other thing that made before I'm a male, before I'm anything else. I'm Black. You know what I'm saying? Black male. Black comes before male. Black comes before female. You know what I'm saying? So, the whole sexist, argument and everything like that, that people want to say to kind of divide us further, it's all nonsensical to me. You know what I'm saying? You think you want to chime in on that, P?
Oh, I mean, I agree with everything that you say.
Yeah, man. Um, P, talk about some of the figures that you know Like I know Marcus Garvey was a big Pan-Africanism. He's the father of Pan-Africanism. Um, Talk a little bit about Marcus Garvey's mission and some of the things that he wanted to do in order to empower us as Black people. Talk a little bit about that, because
Wait, hold on for 1 minute.
no proud.
Oh, no, sorry about that. No,
Yeah.
Marcus Garvey. Well, I would say Marcus Garvey. He's an important figure in, I would say, in Black history in general. When you think about the time that he lived, there was no cell phones, there were no internet or anything like that, and the amount of people that, his influence was so huge from all over the world.
Mm,
He looked at it as like, you know an Asian, a Russian, an American, these white people in general, they're not different from us. Like, they're not better than us. So we should be capable of doing we should be able to achieve what they can achieve.
mhm.
So he was really confident. Um, and he amassed a huge movement, like millions of people that he reached out to. He influenced, you know, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, uh, just a whole bunch of people. Even though he had enemies, W.E.D. Du Bois didn't like him. He thought that after Booker T. Washington died, he thought that he was going to be the next person up, and as a Black leader. But then Marcus Garvey came out of nowhere, and they really did have a lot of conflicts, like conflicts of beliefs in what Black people how Black people should go about handling things. And I think further down the line, eventually, once W.E.D. Du Bois got older, he kind of regret the things that he did to try to sabotage Marcus Garvey. He kind of started to see towards uh, Marcus Garvey's beliefs. Like, Black people need to come together. Black people need to, put their money together, create businesses, educate our kids, practice group economics. You don't need an elite group of Black people to lead other Black people, you know?
Absolutely.
Um,
Um,
it, was-
absolutely. You
it was
definitely.
a real powerful movement, man. And the thing is, he did a lot of these. He created all of these different type of businesses with no loans, basically. No loans from banks or anything. He did it with Black, just off Black people coming together. You see what I'm saying? Like, he had the idea to exporting, shipping is a huge industry. It's always been a huge industry. He was like, hey, why don't we get into the shipping industry? I don't think
Wow.
nobody really thinks about that today, but it's still a big business.
100%. Um, as far as Marcus Garvey is concerned, how do you feel like we can, as people, as a people, can use some of the founding teachings, the teachings that Marcus Garvey used in order to establish that empire? How do you feel like we can somehow get to that level of a movement? Like what would two dudes or three dudes or four dudes be able to do in order to amass the kind of movement that somebody like a Marcus Garvey did?
Well, you know what? That's a difficult question because
It's very difficult, but just
time.
just give your thoughts on it. I'll give mine as well, but give your thoughts on it.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I think times have changed, not necessarily for the better. Um, there are a lot of misguided people in the world, and it's a little bit different where you don't necessarily know who your enemy is because I mean you didn't know who your enemy was back then, but you kind of did because I mean you were racism was in your face back then, but now it's a little bit covert. And you have a lot of black people that they may be the same skin color as you, but they don't really think like how you think, um, because they might be somewhat successful according to them. They might have a career. They might be like a nurse or a doctor or something like that, and they're making a decent amount of money, and they can't relate with the majority of black people. But as far as like individuals of say like a group of four or something, like guys that want to be impactful, I would say the best thing that we could possibly do is to become successful ourselves. We would have to become successful there, make a certain amount of just make a certain amount of money, have a decent stream, multiple streams of income, not self-reliant on one single business or job. That way we can we can pool our money and resources together and create new businesses or invest in other things like land and real estate and stuff like that, and you know bring people into the fold. Help, it starts it starts one person at a time. You see a person's situation and you try to help them out. You help that person out, that person end up helping another person out. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
Sebs.
we as individuals, we need to make improvements in our lives before we can help anybody else out.
Absolutely, man. You can't you can't pull somebody out of the water if you drown in your damn self. So yeah, definitely being in a financially stable situation yourself, and then taking those finances, and then using them for the betterment and empowerment of your people. That's step one and two right there. But figuring out a good way to do it is also a part of that piece. So let's talk about some of the people who may be financially, let's say they're financially okay, and they're able to contribute towards a the black economic empowerment in some sort of way. What would you say would be a good way to start out doing something like that, or what would be a good direction for them to go, or what would be a good thing for them to look into?
uh they could look into, say for instance, what are a lot of the major issues that are affecting black people in general. Housing, jobs. Those are two of the biggest things. Education, but really housing and jobs, those are some of the things that are affecting black people. So with housing, perhaps they could invest in a condo unit or something like that and charge affordable rates for black people, help black people get affordable housing. um, if they have a business, they can work on scaling their business up, and so that they can provide opportunities for black people, provide them with a livable wage. You know,
Mm,
education. If you're a professional in a certain industry, it would be good where you could go to like a church or some type of club where you can reach out to the youth and you can provide mentorship. you
nice.
know Teach people like, hey, I'm a doctor, this is what I do, would some of you guys be interested in it? Or this is what you need to do to become a doctor. I'm an engineer, you know this is what I do.
That's really huge too. A lot of people underestimate that. Like a lot of times, there are a lot of people who are very curious just on how to get into certain professions. And yeah, you could go online and Google it, but uh, the even though everything is online, there's also a lot of fake stuff online too, and nothing's better than hearing something directly from uh somebody who's got into it and done it. Not only that, but are you giving somebody tips on how to get into it, do it well, all the little things you learned from doing, getting into it, and some things that you would have did better or differently in order to make the process smoother. Like those are definitely things that you can impart to the youth. You can impart onto people who are just curious about getting into whatever career path that you're in, and reaching whatever level of success that you reached at this particular point in time. So that's a strong point right there, people. Go ahead, what you were saying.
Well, I think yeah, those are things that a in person individual can do, and I think those would be most effective. And I think it really depends on what do you want to do. Like, do you want to do it from a political approach or something like that? Because if you have aspirations to be like some type of politician or be in politics or something like that, um, helping people have a better life or a better standard of living and stuff, that can help propel you in the political sphere, and that can help create, say for instance, if you wanted to have like a political group, that can create influence,
Mm,
you know.
absolutely. Okay. Yeah, 100%. Okay, Pete, let's switch gears just a little bit. Now there are certain groups, that well, let me say this first. Can you practice Pan-Africanism and also be a Christian or a Muslim or a Mormon or a scientific temple? Can you practice Pan-Africanism and also be a religious person in one of those groups? Is that something
Yeah,
that you could do?
yeah, yeah, of course. Pan-Africanism has nothing to do with religion. What your religious beliefs is, that's you, that's personal. This is about group economics. It's about people with, you know, people that people that look like you, people that have similar DNA structure like you, similar uh, family backgrounds that you, coming together. This is more so of a financial group sustainability type movement. It really
Abs-
doesn't have nothing to do with religion. Regardless of, hey, we live in America. There's people. You can walk on a block. A person will be Jehovah Witness. One neighbor will be Jehovah Witness. Another will be a Mormon. Another one will be a Baptist Christian. Another will be a Catholic. Another person will be a Pentecostal Christian, and another one to be an atheist. But guess what? You all live on that block, right? So you still have common interests. Is that you don't want no crime to take place on your block. You want everybody to be able to get along. You want everything to be well. You want things to be working. You don't want things to be broken, right? So you still have to come together,
oh,
regardless of what religion that you're in. You still have to live in the same block, the same neighborhood, right?
okay. What about if you're a black person but you don't live in the United States? Let's say you live in Canada. Can you still practice Pan-Africanism?
Yeah, Pan Africanism is global. There's black people everywhere. There's black people in Canada. They, wherever you are, I'm sure you deal with some form of racism and segregation and discrimination and all types of stuff. You know, you can practice Pan Africanism everywhere. It's group economics, basically.
Gotcha. Perfect. So how about this? Okay. There are certain groups out there, to name a few. You have FBA, you have what's the other one? I forgot. ADOS. You have groups like that um who are mainly focused on the American black people, who are mainly
Uh, I,
what
I
well
go,
well well let me just finish the question. There are groups like that who mainly focus on um black people in America. What are your thoughts on them, on groups like them and groups like them?
Uh, how can I put this? Well, I mean, I guess I can explain. So let me say this. I understand where they're coming from. You know, I understand. And what the purpose of, say, for instance, you said, what did you say? FDA,
FBA, there's
FBA.
FBA, and then there's ADOS. And
Okay,
then I'm sure there are other subsection, subgroups that are
okay,
from that or whatever with their own ties.
okay. Well, I'll say this: if anybody disagrees with what I say, they can always comment, put a comment for clarification or ask for clarification. But let's just say FBA. The purpose of FBA, Foundational Black American. I would say the reason why they place such emphasis on foundational Black American is because in United States, black, Black Americans help build United States and they don't receive the credit that they deserve. You have a lot of this. The term Black American is messed up because basically any Black person that's in America, they consider them to be Black American. But you have other groups of Black people that come in America, say for instance, Africans from like Nigeria, Ghana, or wherever. They come and they come with their different ideologies, and they certain issues certain issues they feel like they should address, like things that affect Black, foundational Black Americans that have been here since this country's inception. They speak on topics that they really have nothing, that they really shouldn't say anything about, or that they should defer it to somebody that was actually here, whose family is actually here during that time. So I understand where they say, hey, look, we're Black, we're all Black, but there's a difference. Like say for instance, I'm not Jamaican, right? There could be some issues going on in Jamaica. Do you think it's right for me? Like, say for instance, Jamaicans, they were fighting against their government forever, saying, "Hey, we need reparations and stuff for something that happened in the past." I'm not Jamaican. I'm not from Jamaica, but I moved to Jamaica. Do you think it's fair to me to speak on a subject matter that is not related to me, but speak for those people and be like, no, we shouldn't give reparations to those people or something like that? It's I feel like it's not fair. I shouldn't say anything. And a lot of times, when you look at TV, or you watch the news or something like that, there are certain issues that are specific to a group of people that come about, and they always get someone that's not really have no ties to this country to speak on it. And instead of them saying, "Hey, well, my family is not from here. I'm from I'm from Nigeria, but my opinion is," instead of giving clarification, they just speak on it like as if they represent all Black people. So I mean, I understand where the foundational Black Americans come from, and I understand the reason why you have ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery. That's more American Descendants of Slavery is more so because of a reparations agenda that they place the emphasis on that. But in the grand scheme of things, when you're talking about Pan Africanism, there's really no distinction on groups. It's just only thing is that you're Black. Black people need to come together. That's what Pan Africanism focuses on.
Do you
It's
feel
more
like
so the grand scheme of things.
do you feel like groups like that contribute to the development and the empowerment of African people globally?
No, no, I don't.
Okay, so seeing as how they don't contribute to the development and empowerment of African
They they
people.
Yeah, they formed with a specific goal in mind. They formed because of issues that are specific to America. They didn't form for issues globally.
Mhm.
Their focus is not towards anything that's global. It's specific to things that are in America.
Okay. Do you feel that the domestic issues um, that impact the Americas? Well, let me put it like this. Domestically in America, we have issues, but most of the issues that we have domestically stem from global issues. Really, it's a global problem that we have with most things. And most countries are participants to the global issues that take place. And that trickles
Yep.
all the way down from
But
climate
there,
climate control um to uh
that's
missing
true.
children and everything. Go ahead.
That is true. But they formed like FBA and EDOS and stuff like that. They formed specifically uh, for the main issue, which of their agenda is reparations. That's what they're focused on right there. That's the main focus of the reason why they formed is the reparations thing.
Right. But here's the thing. Even though the main focus is reparations, wouldn't you say that reparations is a global issue, not necessarily a domestic issue?
Yes and no. There's a two. I have a two-part answer to that.
Go ahead.
It's a global issue, and it's a domestic issue at the same time. The reason why it's a global issue is because all of the major world powers participated in slavery. Africans was sent all over the world and enslaved, so it's a global issue. But it's also a domestic issue because the United States is a world leader, and if nothing happens, if America chooses not to do anything, a lot of the countries may just follow in the footsteps of the United States.
Well, so here's my thoughts on the whole thing, right? In my mind, FBA and groups like that, they're looking to they're looking to tackle a much bigger issue than what is assumed to be domestic. To me, the equivalent of what FBA and groups like that do is they're trying to clean a room. They're trying to, like, let's say your whole house is infested with rats. They're trying to eliminate the rats in one room. That's the equivalent to what the mission is for FBA and groups like that. You can eliminate the rats in one room, but guess what? The rats from all the rest of the house, at some point, they're gonna make it into that room that you cleared.
Yeah.
That's how I associate what's being done when it comes to this talk of like reparations on a domestic scale. You
Yeah.
know, and I really feel like it's the ideology is a step in the wrong direction. You know, in order to conquer a global issue, a global movement has to come about. And
Oh,
maybe in a lot of people's minds, they believe that um, somehow domestically will trickle up to something globally, but that's typically not how things work. Usually things trickle down and they don't necessarily trickle up. But go ahead with your
okay, then let me ask you this question then.
hmm
So reparations then.
hmm
Do you believe that um, United States should give reparations for uh, slavery? And if so, who should get reparations? Like, how should reparations be distributed?
And this is another part of what I was saying as well, because let's say the United States, let's say let's say they do reparations. Well, according to the ideals of a lot of people who are in ADOS uh, and FBA and groups like that, they would be the only groups receiving reparations. But the problem with that is if you're a foundational Black American and you receive reparations, well, you're going to be surrounded by other Black people who did not receive reparations. You know, there's going to be even more of a disconnect there. There's a lot of people that say that there are disconnects there between Black Americans and other African groups, but if one group receives reparations and the other group doesn't, there's going to be even more of that disconnect. There's going to be even more of uh, that um, what's a good word I'm looking for? That animosity, between
Okay, and
different groups. Mhm.
I hear what you're saying, and here's where I differ a little. Not largely, but I differ a little. I feel like there shouldn't be animosity. In the grand scheme of things, Black people need to come together globally, right? But
Mhm.
there are issues that a Black person in Brazil might
Hold on,
face.
real quick, because you said you feel like there shouldn't be animosity, and
There shouldn't.
there shouldn't be, but there's a lot of things that shouldn't be, but ends up is.
Yeah, and those it's unfortunate, and it is unfortunate. But the thing, if we're talking about, because reparations, as far as in the United States, they're talking about it domestically. You know, reparations is domestic when you're talking about it in France, when you're talking about it in Britain or England or wherever. That's domestic. But on a global scale, you know, reparation, each independent nation should pay reparations uh, to those that they affected in their nation. But then globally, all of the nations that participated should pay should put money together and pay out some form of reparations or something like that. But as far as domestically, and you see, that's the problem. Domestically, as far as in the United States, if we're just talking about the United States, let's just say if United States wanted to pay reparations, there, ultimately, I think, you know, regardless of if there's a monetary gain from it or anything, Black people that are in the United States will benefit from it as a group. But as far as giving, like, just to say money, I think the only people that deserve like money would be the ones that are descended from the Africans that were enslaved in America, and those that were here, those whose families that were here during the whole Jim Crow segregation era with the redlining and the discrimination and all of the segregation. There should be a two-part reparations right there, of a different you know amount of money that would be dispersed. But there should be another part of reparations, which would be changing of certain laws, in which that would benefit all Black people. Like, say, for instance, since the inception of the United States, they have put limitations on how many Black people they let into the United States to keep the population down. Now, if they change the law, wouldn't that affect all Black people that come into the United States? You see, a lot of that's the problem with a lot of groups, like a lot of groups that are not foundational or a Dawson stuff. They look at it like they want to check. People look at it from I want to check, I want to check, but not everybody deserves a check. But they can benefit from policy changes because the civil rights movement, that was something black people, that was something that black people were fighting for during that time. There wasn't a huge population of Hispanic people, all these different groups of Hispanic people in this country. There wasn't a huge population of them, but guess what? They benefited from it, right? So if you get legislative changes, black people still benefit from it. It's not all about money. It's about breaking down, it's about leveling the playing field. Reparations is unearned money. You had people work for free, and they didn't get any type of pay, they didn't get any type of compensation. Now I don't think that's what I don't think like everybody should get money. I think it's specific to just, certain groups that should get money, but other people will benefit if there are legislative changes, laws that'll be changed, programs that will be created. Those things would be created to help black people in general. Thus, that would be helping people in the United States. But I think if the United States were to give some form of reparations, then black people could come together as a whole and approach the world court and say, hey, look, United States did it. Now all you other countries need to do it. You guys need to give reparations to those that you enslaved, countries that you destroyed, you know.
Okay. So here's okay. So let's say that worked out, right? And just like how you said, and the um, foundational Black Americans and ADOS and everyone, they got reparations. And let's say the United States went to all the other foreign countries and decided that they wanted to put pressure on them in order to do the same. What would you feel like is the likelihood of that actually happening?
What if the United States paid, then other countries they're gonna have to pay. They could convince another country to pay because that's business right there. They could easily say, all right, so perhaps we might just increase this tariff on these products that you export from us, you know?
That's pretty extreme because that would affect a lot of other things, the GDP and
Exactly.
things like that. But
They United
also,
States, United States have ways of making countries do something that they don't necessarily want to do. Keep in mind, United States, you know, every year, they do their budget. There's billions of dollars that they give in aid to other countries. Like they give billions of dollars away.
so let me just make sure I have a good understanding of what you're saying. So you believe that certain groups should receive reparations, and by the United States government paying out certain groups, that would influence the global movement and force other countries, um, based on the success of the movement here, it would force other countries um, to actually pay reparations and things like that as a result of what
Yeah.
happened here in the United States.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes. Things that have happened in the United States have had if you look at the history, they've had a direct impact to other countries. Um, Countries that want to consider themselves to be a democracy or something like that, they all try to model themselves after the United States to some extent. So, being that the United States is the global leader, other countries may follow suit.
You mentioned this earlier. How would the United States go about distributing those reparations to the people that you're talking about, foundational Black Americans?
Well, the thing is, reparations in itself is not just money. There's different layers of reparations. One would be money. Two would be changes in policies and stuff. It's basically redistributing the
But
resources in this country.
what I mean is, how would they go about identifying those foundational Black Americans who are affected by slavery in order to distribute those
You mean
reparations?
as far as genealogy?
Right.
I mean, they could easily do that. You know, slaves that were imported into the United States, they kept records of that. Most people, if they look up their genealogy, they can trace back their ancestors to like almost like to the plantation of where their ancestors were from. My sister did a DNA test, and she was able to find the freaking white people that enslaved the people on my dad's side of the family, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
it can be done. And if and the thing is if a lot, I had a discussion with somebody on Instagram about that. They raised that point. And then I also mentioned, how were they able to pay out the Native Americans? Because
But
you have
that's not a good talking point, because a lot of the Native
there's more.
Americans aren't Native Americans, which
But did that stop them? That's
it
the
did
thing.
it
Did it
didn't
stop them?
it didn't stop them, but it creates another situation where you have money being paid out to people who.
But you could, but look at what I'm saying. Reason why I say that is because look at the time at which they created those agreements with the Native Americans. That was like in the 1700s, right? 17, 1800s that they created these treaties with the Native Americans.
Mm,
You can United States know who came in the country or not. If a person say, "Hey, I'm a descendant of slavery. This person, this is my mother. This is my grandmother." They know they can trace back who is who. They were like, "Hold up, nah, man, your people come from Grenada. Like you come from like here's your grandfather's immigration paperwork right here. He come from Grenada. He came here in 1995, man. What you doing?"
mhm. Got you. Yeah, man, but hmm, we done took up the whole hour talking about Pan-Africanism and everything like that. Final
Oh yeah,
question for
but
this topic, and then we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and move on. Just to real quick, it's not gonna be much about the other two things we're gonna talk about, but next week we can continue this. But to end off, how do you feel like Pan-Africanism? I'm sorry. How do you feel like uh um uh ADOS in FBA, how do you feel like that contributes to Pan-Africanism?
I mean, it doesn't. In the grand scheme of things, I feel like it doesn't. I feel like they're formed for the sole purpose of obtaining reparations. That's what I feel like they're created for. But as far as Pan-Africanism, group economics and everything, I don't think that they contribute to it because they alienate themselves from other groups of black people.
Do you think you can
So
be a ADOS or a FBA and a Pan-Africanist?
you could, you could to a certain extent. as far as as far as getting reparations in this country, you know, no, actually, man, that's a difficult question because I have different opinions about both of the subjects. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
you
we're
can
gonna
believe
go ahead. Go ahead.
you can believe that, a specific group of people deserve reparations, but then at the same time, that doesn't stop you from supporting other black businesses or programs geared towards black people or uplifting other groups of black people. Like, that shouldn't stop you. It
Got you.
shouldn't stop you from uplifting other black people. I feel like those groups, they're focused. The reason why they were created is specifically for one reason. It's narrow. It's just for that reason. But Pan-Africanism is a global thing. It's like the grand scheme of things. Like say for instance, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. You know, in the beginning, I feel like Martin Luther King, his issues were more narrow focused. They were focused on, you know, certain specific issues, but Malcolm X was more global. He was thinking more global because Malcolm X was a Pan-Africanist. And when Malcolm X died and Martin Luther, some of the civil rights laws and stuff were getting passed and stuff like that. There was a shift in the way Martin Luther King was thinking. Then he started to think a little bit globally as far as black people, around the world. Then he started to see things a little bit more like Malcolm X. And he started to see the grand scheme of things. Then he started to change.
Mm, very interesting. Very interesting perspective that you just brought to light there. But we're gonna go ahead and end on that. And we're gonna move on really quick because we're supposed to be on here an hour, and already it's been about an hour and 10 minutes. So you know what I'm saying? We've been rambling. So we real quick,
uh,
we're just gonna talk about the vaccines. We're gonna talk about this Justice League movie. We're gonna try to get through that in the next 10 minutes. And then we're gonna go ahead and end on that. We got to give a business of the week too, so we can give that real fast too. Um, Michelle Obama recently, to switch gears all the way. Michelle Obama recently took the COVID vaccine and posted it all online and shit. Hey, I took the vaccine. I took the vaccine. And Barack took it too. We both took it. You should take it. That's pretty much the message that they're giving. What are your thoughts on that? Real quick. And are you going to be taking the vaccine?
well, I mean, because of the work that I do, I'm probably may end up be forced to take it. So,
What do you think of them promoting the vaccine though? Like it's some sort of trip to Six Flags or something.
well, I mean, the thing about the vaccine is that, it's just like the flu shot. It don't stop you from getting the flu. It's supposed to just create a resistance. So to promote it as something like, hey, you get the vaccine and then everything's gonna be good, that's, they should clarify, because I mean, there's a new strand of coronavirus that's already out that people are suffering from. So
Yeah. Yeah, man. You know, I guess they're trying to get people to, be more comfortable with the idea of taking the vaccine, but it's like nobody's ever going to be comfortable and confident about taking a vaccine, especially given the history that the United States has with these vaccines and things that they put in the vaccine. And then
yeah,
also, in addition to that, how do I know I'm taking the same vaccine that Michelle Obama and Barack Obama took? You know,
that's
so
true. That's
it's
true.
it's just so much to consider, what I'm saying, when with the government, and just how they do
And then
things and so much
it's
secrecy. Yeah.
you can't. they're in a different level. Like as far as us, like they have different type of healthcare. Even though
Absolutely.
Obama, he's a former president, but he still get the benefits. He still get the top healthcare and everything. So it's not the same. Like he can get sick and he'll get the best treatment available.
Yeah, like our doctors and their doctors are not equal by any means. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, are we really doing this? You know what I'm saying?
You
Because of Obama did it. You
he
know what I'm
gets
saying?
sick, they give him the best treatment, the best medication. You get sick, they'll be like, here's this Robitussin.
Exactly,
You
exactly.
know,
Our doctors and their doctors are not built the same. So, that doesn't sway me any left, right, or center by saying Michelle or Barack Obama take any type of vaccine. But I know that there are a lot of people who see that and are influenced by that. But the people who see that and are influenced by that, I just want to ask you the simple question is, do you believe that what they're injecting into them and what they're injecting into you is the same? I just want to
I don't.
ask you that question. You ain't got to answer it. I just want to ask the world, do you believe that it's the same? Yeah. Your answer is yes, God bless you. But if the answer is no, I mean, at that point, you got to make a critical decision. You know what I'm saying? But that aside, let's go ahead and move on real quick, man, to the last topic of the evening, which is the Justice League movie. P, tell us a little bit about this Justice League movie, man. You actually educated me on it, so go ahead and talk about it a little bit, so we can go ahead and end this motherfucking show.
Well, the movie that's coming out is the Justice League movie. Is basically the director's cut, which they call it the Snyder's cut. Basically, Zack Snyder was the original director of the Justice League movie, but in production, he was faced with a lot of setbacks, changes from the studio that they wanted to make, scenes that they wanted to cut, budgets that they wanted to cut. And he also had some family issues that caused him to ultimately step away from the movie. So when he stepped away, uh, the production company decided to get another director, in which this director was the director for the two of the Marvel's Avengers movies. So they were thinking, hey, he did the Avengers movies. The Justice League is a superhero movie too, and he did very good with the Avengers. So let's get him to do it. So he scrapped the majority of the videos and the scenes and stuff that Zack Snyder already filmed, and he completely redid the movie. Um, and basically, it was trash. It was. It
Hilarious.
wasn't good. It wasn't good. It was not good.
Hilarious.
And fans were asking like, what is this? And Zack Snyder basically said, hey, this is not what I filmed. Um, and people were, the fan base, they were saying, well, we want to see what you filmed, and they dubbed it the Snyder's cut. And more people kept asking for it. And then you had the actors that actually played the characters in the movie saying, hey, yeah, they should put it out. you know
Interesting.
initially initially this probably would have never happened, but then the coronavirus hit. um, Movie theaters shut down or operated on limited capacity, and uh, media companies look for different avenues to make money. So you still had the fan base still demanding that movie. So they're like, hey, well, we have HBO Max here. Why don't we get Zack Snyder to finish his movie? We'll throw in a couple extra $1 million for him to finish it and do whatever reshoots he need, and then we can stream it on HBO Max. So that's what they decided to do. They gave him some more money, and he brought the actors back in to finish the shots that he originally did, and he basically it's a different movie. It's a different movie. The dark side and the other villain, they don't even look the same. when
Facts.
you look at when you look at the trailer, they don't even look the same. Their designs are completely different. So
Well, let me
Yeah,
ask you this. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like this movie is going to be better than the first movie,
I
the
think it's gonna
original?
be. I think it's gonna be better because the first one, they condensed it into a 2 hour, like a 2 hour movie. There were a lot of things that they cut, and there was a lot of plot holes. This movie is 4 hours long, so that means by it being 4 hours long,
Damn.
that means they're probably gonna go into detail about each character because you have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg.
Damn. Four
So
hours. That's crazy as hell.
yeah, for something to be 4 hours, I mean they're probably gonna go into detail about each character. And if you've seen Superman, you pretty much already know his story, but they're gonna introduce some more things. Like you're gonna see the black suit Superman. I don't know if you've seen it in the trailer.
Nah, I ain't see it in the trailer, but hey, I'm gonna go look for it now. Black Suit Superman sounds dope as fuck.
Yeah, he's
I ain't
gonna
gonna
have the
hold you.
black. He's gonna have the black suit. Um, You seen Joker was also in the trailer. He wasn't in the Justice League movie that came out a couple years ago, but he's gonna be in this one. The Joker. There's a lot of different things, man. So it looks
Mm,
to be a different movie.
okay.
Same movie, but a lot of different scenes that were cut out that should have been there.
Well, sounds like a good movie to watch, but god damn, 4 hours? What the hell?
Yeah.
That's wild. I might have to cut that in half and like maybe watch one on Wednesday and another one next week Wednesday or something. We're gonna have to.
Just think of it like an anime that you binge watch.
we may. I might have to watch this like like a series, maybe like 30 minutes at a time, like break it into four parts. Might have to do something like that because 4 hours is a long time to be sitting in front of a TV watching the
Yeah.
same shit. And I don't know if my attention span is that long these days, but nevertheless, it does seem like a one of those things that you want to check out. It's actually coming out on HBO Max, so we don't have to worry about going to no movie theaters. If you have a HBO Max subscription, you can just go in there and watch. And I actually happen to have a HBO Max subscription, so I'm actually quite pleased that I'm getting a movie that people haven't seen, directly to me. So that's great.
You have it, but I don't.
Nah.
But I'm still gonna see the movie. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
we
just
know
put
how
it
you're
like
gonna say.
that.
We're not gonna do that. See, this is what's wrong with America. That's what happens. Nevertheless, it is what it is. We're gonna go ahead and end right here. If you haven't already, make sure you like the stream. Make sure you subscribe to the channel Africonomy. We're gonna continue bringing you guys content. We're gonna be looking to do another Black business review in the next few weeks. If you have a business you'd like us to review, hit it up in the comment section or send an email to kingdavid545@gmail.com. We'll purchase the product or patronize the business and and do the review. You know what I'm saying? So not only is it business for whoever the product we're reviewing is, but they get shout outs and they get mentions and they get a review. Now, if you have a bad business, I can see why you wouldn't want to do it. But, you know, if you have a good business and you wanted to get a little extra PT, a little extra playtime, go ahead and hit us up so we can go ahead and do the review on there. With that said, we're gonna go ahead and end this. P, you have anything you want on any final closing remarks you want to end off on before we go ahead and go home? Well, I'm already
No,
home.
no, I just think that, we probably may need to come out with another video, basically just going a little bit more in detail about the whole like the FBA IDOS thing and just the whole grand scheme of things.
Oh yeah, that's coming. That's coming. I wasn't even prepared to really talk about it, but the Pan Africanism, it just kind of leads itself into that. You know what I'm saying? A little bit. Even though Pan Africanism is an entirely different thing, but for me, the antithesis of Pan Africanism is like tribalism, and you know what I mean. But that's for a whole nother show. We definitely gonna do that again. Maybe next week, Pete. I mean, maybe next week for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll holler at y'all next time. Peace.
Yep, yep.